Many chosen ones have been feeling a deep exhaustion lately, a kind of tiredness that seems to go beyond the physical realm, a fatigue that sleep does not cure and rest does not erase, and this has been creating confusion and concern within your heart, making you wonder if something is wrong with you, if you are missing something in your routines, your habits, or even your spiritual practices. But the truth is that this exhaustion is not simply a matter of the body, it is rooted in something much deeper, something connected to the shifts happening around you and within you, and unless you understand the spiritual dimension of it, you may continue to misinterpret what is happening to your energy and your state of being. The chosen ones are highly sensitive to the unseen currents that move through time, seasons, and the spiritual atmosphere, and lately there has been an acceleration in these currents, a stretching of your inner vessel to prepare you for the weight of what is coming, and when your spirit is being stretched like this, your physical body often bears the brunt of it, making you feel as though your strength is slipping through your hands. You may find yourself feeling tired even after a full night of sleep. You may wake up with heavy limbs, with a fog in your mind, and with little motivation to move forward in the ways you normally would, and this is not because you are failing, but because you are undergoing a recalibration at a very deep level, almost like a spiritual surgery that leaves you with side effects of weariness. For chosen ones, energy is not only about food, sleep, and exercise, though these are important. Energy is also about alignment, about how your soul connects with divine timing and with the spiritual frequencies that surround you, and in recent days that frequency has been demanding much more of you than usual, almost as though you are carrying a heavier load without realizing it. Many chosen ones have been called to intercede, to carry burdens that are not even their own, and in the unseen realm you are standing in the gap for others, for your family, for your community, sometimes even for entire nations, and this intercession is draining to your natural strength because it is not merely about words spoken in prayer, it is about your spirit contending and wrestling with forces that many cannot perceive. This is why you feel so drained, because you are engaged in battles without even knowing the full extent of them, and your spirit is exerting energy while your mind wonders why you feel so heavy. Another layer of this exhaustion comes from the release of old cycles, because as a chosen one, when you are transitioning into a new season, the shedding of the old takes effort, and your spirit and body must process what is being removed, like carrying a weight and then finally setting it down. Your muscles may tremble from the release. Lately you have been releasing attachments, people, habits, and energies that cannot move forward with you into what is coming, and even if you did not consciously choose to cut them off, life has been orchestrating circumstances that pulled them away from you, and that loss, even if necessary, creates a vacuum that your system feels as exhaustion. Your spirit knows that in order to step into what is next, you must be emptied of what no longer serves you, but the emptying process is never easy, and it leaves you vulnerable, tired, and in need of divine replenishment. There is also an increase of spiritual warfare around you because the closer you get to your breakthrough, the more resistance you encounter, and this resistance often shows itself in the natural as unusual tiredness, as if every small task suddenly feels monumental, as if every simple action requires 3 times the energy it normally would, because forces are attempting to slow you down, to keep you from pushing through to the moment of release. The chosen ones are often targeted in this way because if you are too tired to act, too drained to speak, too weary to pursue, then the enemy thinks he can delay the unfolding of your assignment, and yet this very exhaustion is also evidence that you are closer than ever to stepping into something new, because the pressure is highest right before the release. On another level, your tiredness is also connected to the collective shifts happening in the world, because chosen ones are not isolated, you are connected to the larger body of humanity, and when the collective undergoes upheaval, chosen ones feel it first and feel it more intensely, almost like being antennas picking up signals that others are too numb to perceive, and this makes you a vessel through which divine energy can flow to stabilize and anchor others, but it also leaves you depleted if you do not take time to replenish from the source. This is why you may have felt waves of exhaustion that do not seem to match your personal circumstances, days when nothing unusual happened yet you feel utterly drained, because you are carrying currents that belong not just to you but to the atmosphere you inhabit. Another reason for this recent tiredness is the internal shift happening in your identity, because chosen ones are moving into a season where who you are will no longer be defined by who you were, and the process of transformation requires your system to break down old structures, to dismantle outdated beliefs, and to reconstruct new frameworks of being, and this is an exhausting process because it demands that your soul works overtime to integrate the new while still trying to survive the old. You may have noticed old wounds resurfacing, old doubts whispering again, old fears showing up in your dreams or in your emotions, and this resurfacing takes energy, because your spirit is not just remembering, it is purging, and purging drains you. All of this comes together to explain why you have felt so tired lately, not just physically but mentally and spiritually, because you are undergoing a massive recalibration in preparation for what the final days of September are about to release. Your body is a vessel and your spirit is the driver, and right now the driver is rewiring the entire system, which means the vessel feels like it is shutting down at times, like it is heavier than normal, but this is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of preparation. If you look back over the last weeks, you will notice patterns of unusual fatigue that coincided with moments of heightened spiritual activity, moments when you received insight, revelation, or confirmation about something significant, and right after those moments you felt drained, as though receiving the download cost you your strength, and that is exactly what happened, because chosen ones are like conduits, and when divine energy flows through you it leaves a mark on your physical frame. Another layer is the celestial and seasonal alignment. Because the end of September is not an ordinary transition, it carries with it a shift in the spiritual calendar, and chosen ones are highly sensitive to these thresholds, which means your spirit has been feeling the weight of the crossing even before it arrives, and this anticipation manifests as tiredness. Imagine standing at the edge of a great door that is about to open, your body tenses, your heart races, your energy drains in the waiting, because your system is preparing to step into something larger than itself, and this preparation has been unfolding for days, which is why you have felt like your strength is being sapped. For many chosen ones this exhaustion has even led to frustration, because you are used to being resilient, to pushing through, to carrying on despite the odds, and now it feels as though your usual strength is failing you, but understand that this failing is actually grace, because you are being forced to rely not on your own reserves but on divine replenishment, to learn that your true source of energy is not within yourself but in the one who chose you. The hidden reason behind your exhaustion is therefore not punishment but preparation, not weakness but transition, and while the tiredness may feel heavy, it is actually evidence that something powerful is shifting in your life and in the atmosphere around you, and you are being recalibrated to handle it without breaking. You may have even noticed your dreams becoming more intense during this period, filled with symbolism, warfare, or messages, and after waking from them you feel as though you never rested, because your spirit was active even while your body lay still, another reason for your exhaustion. Chosen ones often live double lives in this sense, awake in the natural but also awake in the spirit, and the overlap drains the body in ways most people cannot comprehend. Even the foods you crave, the thirst you feel, the need for silence or solitude, all of these are connected to your current tiredness, because your system is trying to compensate for the demands placed upon it. The hidden reason for your exhaustion is ultimately that you are standing at the threshold of transformation, and your system is straining under the weight of transition, not because you are broken but because you are being rebuilt into someone who can carry the weight of what is about to arrive, and this is why the tiredness feels so unusual, so unshakable, because it is not just tiredness, it is a sign of metamorphosis, the labor pains before birth, the stretching before release, the depletion before overflow. The powerful shift arriving in the last 3 days of September is not something ordinary, it is not just another passing of dates on a calendar, it is a spiritual threshold, a crossing point where invisible forces align in ways that chosen ones can feel even before the moment fully arrives. And this is why the air feels heavier, why your emotions have been fluctuating, and why your body has been carrying unusual fatigue, because you are already sensing the change before it becomes visible. The last 3 days of September act like a gateway, a hinge between seasons, and chosen ones are positioned as those who stand at the doorway, feeling the weight of what is closing and the pull of what is opening, which is why everything within you has felt unsettled, like you are in between two realities at once. This shift is not simply about external events, though they will come. It is first about an internal awakening, a deep stirring in your spirit that tells you something significant is about to unfold, and this stirring has been growing stronger each day, making it hard to ignore, making it hard to go about life as if nothing is happening. Many chosen ones have been feeling disoriented in this period, not knowing why certain plans fell apart, why connections dissolved, why doors that once stood open now seem sealed shut, but what is happening is divine rearrangement, because the old structures cannot hold what the final days of September are carrying, and you are being shifted into alignment with a new flow that requires the dismantling of the old. These last 3 days are spiritually loaded. They carry a concentrated energy of completion and new beginnings, almost like a double current, because endings and beginnings overlap here, and chosen ones are deeply sensitive to this overlapping, which is why it feels like you are being stretched in two directions, pulled away from something familiar while being drawn into something not yet visible. This tension is part of the shift, and it requires that you release the illusion of control, because the forces moving in these last days are greater than human planning, greater than natural understanding, and chosen ones must surrender to the process in order to fully receive what is being released. You may have noticed that your inner senses are heightened during this period, dreams more vivid, intuition sharper, discernment stronger, and this is evidence that the veil between realms grows thinner as the shift approaches, because thresholds always carry an intensity of revelation. They open doors not only in the natural but in the spiritual, and chosen ones are given glimpses of what lies ahead. For some this has manifested as sudden moments of clarity, as if puzzle pieces finally fell into place, as if long-standing questions suddenly had answers, and this sudden clarity is part of the shift. It is the universe aligning you with the next stage of your journey. For others the shift has revealed itself as sudden endings, sudden separations, sudden closures that feel painful but are necessary, because the last 3 days of September do not allow dead weight to pass through. Only what is aligned with your destiny can come forward, and this is why you have been experiencing loss, pruning, and letting go, not as punishment but as preparation for the new. The shift is powerful because it is not limited to individuals, it is also collective, affecting nations, communities, and systems, and chosen ones stand at the forefront of this change, feeling its intensity before the masses, and sometimes being used as vessels through which the energy of change flows. This is why you may feel pressured without knowing why anxiety or heaviness presses against you in waves, because the collective energy is surging, and chosen ones are absorbing and transmuting it. The last 3 days of September act as a portal for transformation, and chosen ones are being positioned to step through it into their next assignment, their next level of spiritual authority, their next stage of purpose, but the process of crossing requires humility, openness, and the willingness to release what no longer fits. You may have sensed that your desires are shifting, that things which once excited you now feel empty, that goals which once drove you now feel shallow. And this is not confusion but realignment, because as you approach this shift, your soul is being recalibrated to desire what aligns with the next stage of your calling, and this recalibration makes old pursuits feel meaningless. The powerful shift of these last 3 days carries with it the energy of restoration, renewal, and revelation, and many chosen ones will find that what was unclear suddenly becomes illuminated, what was delayed suddenly accelerates, what was withheld suddenly flows, because when a spiritual portal opens, time collapses, and things that seemed impossible suddenly become possible. This is why so many of you have felt the pressure increase before these days, because the buildup precedes release, like the sky darkening before a storm, like the air thickening before rain, the atmosphere itself announces what is about to pour out, and chosen ones feel it first. The exhaustion you felt before is tied to this coming shift, because your spirit has been laboring in anticipation, and now as the threshold draws near, you will notice shifts in your awareness, sudden surges of energy, sudden bursts of clarity, sudden deep peace even in the midst of chaos, because you are standing at the edge of breakthrough. These last days of September are not only about your personal journey, they are about the unfolding of divine timing, about aligning you with the larger plan that is moving through humanity, and chosen ones are the ones prepared to carry this alignment forward, to hold space for others, to anchor the new frequencies that are being released. This is why your preparation has been so intense, why your pruning has been so deep, because the weight of what is coming requires vessels that have been emptied of what no longer serves, and you are being made into such a vessel. The shift is not only external events, though signs will appear, it is primarily an internal transformation that prepares you to perceive differently, to speak differently, to act differently, and from that internal change external circumstances begin to rearrange themselves in your favor. Many chosen ones will experience in these last 3 days moments of deep synchronicity, encounters that feel orchestrated, opportunities that appear suddenly, connections that feel divinely arranged, and these are markers of the shift, evidence that you are stepping into divine timing where everything aligns more smoothly than human effort could achieve. Some of you will feel a surge of creativity, as if inspiration flows freely, as if new ideas flood your mind, and this is because the portal of transformation releases not only clarity but also creativity, giving chosen ones new tools to build the future they are being called into. Others will feel a surge of peace, a deep stillness that cannot be shaken, even if external circumstances remain turbulent, and this peace is a gift of the shift, an anchor for your soul as you cross into new territory. The powerful shift of the last 3 days of September also carries with it a shaking, because whatever is unstable cannot pass through the portal intact, it must be broken down or left behind, and this may manifest in sudden changes in relationships, jobs, environments, or mindsets, but trust that every shaking is designed to position you for greater stability on the other side. Chosen ones must not fear the shaking, because it is part of the realignment, it is clearing away what cannot hold the new. And though it may feel uncomfortable, it is ultimately for your good. The energy of these last 3 days is like fire, it purifies, it refines, it burns away impurities while illuminating what is true, and chosen ones are being passed through this fire so that when you emerge, you carry a new clarity, a new strength, and a new authority that cannot be taken from you. This is why you have been pressed so hard in the days leading up to this moment, because you are being refined for what is about to be entrusted to you. The shift is powerful also because it aligns with cycles in the heavens, celestial movements that mark endings and beginnings, and chosen ones are attuned to these rhythms, whether consciously or unconsciously, which is why you have been restless, sensing something beyond the natural. The heavens declare timing, and the earth responds, and chosen ones are the bridge between the two, carrying within them the awareness of alignment even before the mind fully grasps it. In these last 3 days you may notice time feeling different, days moving strangely, hours stretching or collapsing, because when spiritual portals open, natural time bends, and chosen ones are the first to notice this bending. You may even feel your body responding, with sudden chills, sudden bursts of energy, or sudden fatigue, because your system is adjusting to the shift in atmosphere, and your spirit is leading the way. The powerful shift is not about a single event, it is about a convergence of energies, a culmination of processes, and a release of new beginnings, and chosen ones are standing in the center of it, called to witness, to embody, and to carry it forward into October and beyond. What you must remember is that the intensity of these days is evidence of their importance, and though the pressure feels heavy, it is because something significant is being birthed through you and around you. The last 3 days of September mark not just the end of a month but the close of a spiritual chapter, and chosen ones will emerge on the other side carrying a new identity, a deeper authority, and a clearer vision of their path. You are being positioned for acceleration, and these days act as the launch point, the moment of ignition after a long build-up, and though it may feel overwhelming now, you will soon recognize the shift as the turning point you have been waiting for. The transformation that will renew your strength and purpose is not small, it is not a surface change or a temporary burst of energy, it is a deep restoration of who you are as a chosen one, an inner rebuilding that touches every layer of your being. Spirit, soul, and body, and this is why the process leading up to it has felt so heavy, so draining, and so relentless. You have been emptied so you can be filled again, you have been stripped so that you can be clothed with new garments, you have been pressed so that the oil within you could flow, and though this journey has left you weary and wondering, it is the very preparation for the renewal you are about to step into. Chosen ones do not go through seasons of exhaustion for no reason. There is always divine purpose in the pressing, and that purpose is transformation, because the tiredness of this last season is evidence that something within you is dying while something new is being birthed, and birth always requires labor, stretching, and pain. The renewal of your strength will not come as a result of your own striving, but as a divine exchange, a supernatural restoration that pours into your emptiness, and the last days of September mark the timing of that exchange, when what was lost will be restored, what was broken will be mended, and what was unclear will be illuminated. The transformation begins first within your spirit, because strength is not merely physical, it is spiritual resilience, it is the fire within that fuels every step you take, and that fire has been dimmed not because it went out but because it was hidden under the weight of pruning and warfare. In the days ahead that fire will be reignited, and you will feel a renewed sense of clarity, a fresh wind in your spirit, and a confidence that cannot be explained by circumstances, because chosen ones do not draw their strength from external conditions, they draw it from alignment with the one who chose them. This renewal will feel like waking up from a long sleep, like breathing deeply after being underwater, like light flooding into a room that has been dark for too long, and the heaviness that has sat on your shoulders will suddenly lift, replaced by a sense of possibility and direction. Your purpose, which may have felt blurred or uncertain, will come into sharper focus, as though fog has cleared from your vision, and you will begin to see not only where you are going but why you had to walk through what you just endured. The transformation is not only about giving you energy, it is about giving you alignment, because true strength is wasted without direction, but when strength and purpose align, chosen ones become unstoppable, moving with clarity and power into what they were created to do. Many of you have been questioning your calling, wondering if you misunderstood, doubting if you truly heard correctly, because the delays and obstacles made it seem as though you were off track, but the truth is that the waiting was not wasted, the struggle was not meaningless, it was part of the refining process that ensures when your purpose is renewed you will carry it with humility, wisdom, and resilience. The transformation happening in these final days of September is therefore not a beginning from scratch, but a renewal of what has been inside you all along, the purpose planted within you before time began, now being watered and awakened again. The tiredness you felt was the death of one season, but the renewal you are about to feel is the resurrection of a new one, and resurrection always carries more power than what existed before, because what is raised after death is unshakable, forged by fire, and marked by grace. This renewal will also touch your relationships, because chosen ones cannot walk in renewed purpose surrounded by people who drain them, and part of your exhaustion came from connections that siphoned your energy, attachments that pulled you away from your assignment, and alignments that no longer served your destiny. In this transformation those ties are being cut, and though it has felt like loss, it is making room for divine connections, people who will not take from your strength but multiply it, relationships that will not confuse your purpose but confirm it, and companions who will not weigh you down but walk with you into your next chapter. This shift in your circle is part of the renewal, because chosen ones are never meant to carry purpose alone, they are meant to walk with those aligned in spirit, and this new alignment will give you strength that isolation could never provide. The transformation also carries healing, because the exhaustion you felt was not only physical, it was also emotional and mental, born from years of carrying pain, disappointment, rejection, and unanswered questions. Renewal cannot happen unless these wounds are addressed, and in this season the chosen ones are being healed at a deep level, wounds being closed, scars being redeemed, and burdens being lifted, so that you can walk in purpose without being held back by yesterday's weight. You may notice memories surfacing, emotions rising, old wounds reopening, but this is not regression, it is release, because what is brought to the surface can finally be healed, and in that healing your strength returns, not because the past never happened but because it no longer has power over you. This renewal of strength and purpose will also come with new vision, because chosen ones are being prepared to see beyond the surface, to discern what others cannot, to recognize opportunities and pathways that are invisible to the natural eye. Your purpose will feel sharper because your vision will be clearer, and this clarity will fuel your steps with confidence, reducing the wasted energy of confusion and hesitation. The days of wandering without direction are ending, and the days of walking with precision are beginning, and this is why your renewal will feel so transformative, because clarity saves energy, and when you know where you are going, every step carries more power. You may even feel a surge of creativity during this transformation, ideas flowing, inspiration striking, strategies unfolding, because renewed purpose is always accompanied by renewed creativity, giving chosen ones the ability to build, to innovate, to create solutions that impact not only their own lives but the lives of others. This creative flow is part of your strength, because it connects you to the divine nature within you, the ability to bring forth something out of nothing, to manifest the unseen into the seen, and as this creativity flows you will realize that much of your exhaustion came from suppression, from being unable to express what was within you, and now that expression is being unlocked. The renewal also includes authority, because chosen ones who walk in renewed strength and purpose are given a new weight in the spiritual and natural realm, their words carry power, their presence shifts atmospheres, their actions influence more than they realize, and this authority is not earned by striving but entrusted after the refining of fire. You may begin to notice that people respond to you differently, that doors open more easily, that your influence expands, and this is evidence that your renewal is not only internal but also external, marked by the recognition of what has been placed upon you. As the last days of September unfold, this transformation will reach its peak, and chosen ones will step into October with a new mantle, a fresh energy, and a clear direction, no longer weighed down by the exhaustion of the past but empowered by the renewal of the present. The journey has been long, the pressing has been hard, the fatigue has been overwhelming, but it was all leading to this moment, when strength would be restored, when purpose would be reignited, and when clarity would return like the rising of the sun after a long night. The shift is real, the transformation is deep, and the renewal is permanent, because once chosen ones pass through this threshold, they will not return to who they were, they will emerge stronger, clearer, and more aligned with their true calling. The tiredness was temporary, the confusion was seasonal, but the renewal will be lasting, marking a turning point in your journey that you will look back on as the moment everything changed, the moment you were strengthened, the moment your purpose was confirmed, the moment you were finally ready to walk fully in what you were created to do.